I'm so proud of Zack. I feel like a proud father. Zack, even though I've always reminded him that low-hanging fruit is still nutritious. And maybe he did that with the guest booking today. Maybe you did. Just go like Battle of Ontario. We got the York Chop coming up. We got Rosie coming up. Jason York, Jay Rosehill. All right, cool. End the week. Why not? But, dude, the QOD you came up with today, and we are getting some absolute beauties coming back. So here's the one that Zack came up with today, where most shows, like they did this on Daily Faceoff Live today, we'll do the give us one trick, give us one treat. Hey, it's Halloween after all. Not our boy Zack. He peels the onion one more layer and comes up with this bon mot. What moment, easy for me to say, first day with the new tongue. What moment haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? Buddy, that is so good. I'm going to ask everybody on this show that question, including Dan MacKenzie, the president of the Canadian Hockey League, who will probably say, the moment I met you, Marek. What moment haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? That is so good. Mine, well, first of all, what's yours? What's the moment that haunts you in your hockey fandom? Do you have one? You must have one. You came up with this question after all. I'm sure you've meditated on this. What is it?
Come on. It's the lowest of hanging fruit.
Oh, when Marner signed with Vegas?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry.
4-1.
Oh,
I
Boston.
will never, ever, and I know that's a lot of evers, ever look at a 4-1 lead the same. No, like not a series lead, not a 3-1 series lead, not a 4-1 game lead. Nothing will ever be the same for me after that experience. That is going to haunt me for the rest of my life, and I'm going to pass that on to my kids and their kids, and everybody after that is going to have to live with that hanging over them.
For me, it's a moment that made me cry as a kid. I would have been 10 when it happened. And I've talked to him about this. Like, the wonderful thing about working in this field is you get to meet the people that you've grown up watching and have these like kid conversations with them. The Lanny McDonald trade. So Punchy Imlach was the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he went to war with Darryl Sittler. Really didn't like Darryl Sittler, wanted him out of the room, wanted him traded. But because Darryl Sittler had a no trade clause, yes, they existed back in 1979-80. He decided, well, if Sittler won't waive his no-trade clause and I can't move him, I'll just trade all of his friends. And it was that first moment where I realized that players won't just stay on your teams that you love. And Lanny McDonald got traded to the Colorado Rockies, coming back the other way, Pat Hickey and Wolf Paymont. Not the first player ever to wear 99 in the NHL. That was
the first show we ever did. Who was it?
Joe Lamb. We got York Chop coming up. We're starting with Lamb Chop. Joe Lamb, Montreal Canadiens. It's just like a race car number they gave to him as a practice jersey. They didn't have another number for him for the games. So they just gave him 99. Anyhow, that was like 30s. I remember thinking to myself, I've seen trades before, but I didn't think like all my favorite players could get traded. I didn't think that like superstar players could get traded. I remember my dad telling me Lanny McDonald got traded to Colorado. And first I was stunned. And second, like I was like crying. Like, we're not going to, like, Lanny McDonald's not going to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs again. I'm like, he's like, no, son. And it was like a year ago, I had met him at Keelsdale Arena, him and his wife, at some, like, figure skating show my sister was part of. He was, like, one of my favorite players. I met him at Granny's, or was it Granny's? Granny's Fish and Chips with Brian Glennie when I was, like, 8 years old. Lanny, by the way, would do any commercial. You know, there are just some people in the industry that'll do anything for a nickel, anything for a dime, anything for... Lanny did every single... You offered him anything and attached a dollar to it. Lanny was doing it, but Lanny was there with Brian Glennie. He was one of the first hockey players I met. It was a really, really cool experience. But that was the one for me. I still think back to little 10-year-old Jeff Marek in the West End of Toronto being all emotional about Lanny McDonald getting traded. But we've got some great ones that have come in. Like and it's not just games, it's trades, it's events, It's twists on the question as well. This one's really good. But before we get there, I want to talk to a couple of special people. I want to let you know what's on the blueprint for the program today. And it's a whopper to end the week. Some shows just lick the envelope, mail it in. One guest, we're only going to go like 35, 45. No. Friday, we're going Broadway. We're going Broadway to take you into the weekend. The blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game with FanDuel. Coming up on the program today, Jason York, who covers the Ottawa Senators for us here at the Nation Network, also is a key piece of the broadcast of the Calgary Flames crew this year. We'll talk to him about those two teams. So we'll talk about the Ottawa Senators. We'll also talk to Jay Rosehill of Leafs Morning Take about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Dare we say the struggling Toronto Maple Leafs, and Dan MacKenzie, the president of the Canadian Hockey League, will stop by. We'll talk about the CHL USA Prospect Challenge, which gets underway on the 25th of this month in November in Calgary, and then the 26th in Lethbridge. And that is our snappy show for you today. All of it peppered with this great question that our man Zack came up with. So that question goes to our first guest. He is Jason York from Coming In Hot. Jason York from Flames Broadcasts. We call him the York Chop. How are you, pal? Good to see you again. Where are you right now?
Well, Jeff, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, I got you. Where are you right now?
We're inside the CTC Center. I figured I'd get out of the rink because, when you watch practice, all you can hear is the little clip, clap, 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 clap.
Yeah, I like that.
So I'm just going to Yeah, but you won't be able to hear me, Jeffy, so I'm going to go over to the hall.
So
you
that's
guys
respect.
can hear me?
That's respect. By the way, just as an aside, my favorite hockey sound is the puck hitting the crossbar. Do you have a favorite hockey sound? Like when I walk into the rink, usually the first thing you hear is the puck hitting the glass. That's a good sound, but I love puck hits crossbar. What is your favorite hockey sound? Is it blades hitting the ice? Is it puck hitting bar? What is it for you, Yorkie?
I'll tell you what, Jeff, I got a good story here. It's kind of like, I know you're kind of like a hockey romantic. 2004 lockout. 2004 lockout.
Okay.
I was at a crossroads. My father had passed away. I had spent a year in Switzerland. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to National Hockey League. So local arena here called Barbara Ann Scott. Ended up skating there by myself. And there's something when you're just on a sheet by yourself. The minute you jump on the ice and it's just totally clean and your skate just starts carving in.
Yep.
And that's all you hear. That's my favorite sound, Jeff.
It's a beautiful sound. That honestly, that's the one, and you can feel it too. Now, by the way, as an NHLer, how many strides does it take you to realize that the ice is good or the ice is crap?
As soon as you get on, you can tell. And the only reason I know this is because I played in Anaheim back when it was the Arrowhead Pond, and it was the notoriously worst ice in the National Hockey League. It was terrible. Like you basically needed a stick like Kadri uses, the massive blade, so the puck, because it was always bouncing. They fixed it since then, but you can tell it's soft and it's hot, and Florida ice and playoffs, which everybody's used to now because they're always in the finals. That kind of ice. True. That kind of ice.
Yeah. Okay, so Halloween theme here today. I want to hop on the Senators in a couple of seconds. I do want to get your thoughts on the Flames too, and congratulations on that gig. It's great to see you and hear you on Flames games. I really, really love it. The question of the day that we have today on this Halloween, it's not the tricks and treats, it's haunting. So my answer to this was the Lanny McDonald trade. I was 10 years old, and it jarred me. It floored me. It's a moment you realize that, your parents could, as you mentioned, your father passing away. I've lost both my parents, and, that moment you realize as a kid, my parents are probably not going to be here one day. It's just jarring. My jarring moment or haunting moment was the Lanny McDonald trade. I was a kid, and what? Lanny McDonald trade and I've talked to Lanny about it and have a good laugh. But what moment, Jason York, haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? Let me throw a dart here. Here's what I think it's going to be. When the bill came at your rookie dinner.
No, that wasn't too bad. As soon as you said Bill, I thought you were going to get into, you and I were going to start talking about Bill LaForge again. Because there's a lot of haunting memories back then. I still have trauma from that dude. I'm still messed up. Like
So,
that's no joke. That's no joke. But that doesn't count. That doesn't count because I'll talk about because I think you want
just
to talk about trades, right?
well, no,
Trades.
no, 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 no. Something on the ice, something off the ice. If you want to talk about, Bill LaForge, putting body bags in the old Guelph Auditorium in that Guelph Kitchener series. Todd Warner told me about that. You're walking into the Guelph Trust, he's like, get out, and there's body bags hanging from the reg. You cannot do that. You cannot do that, Bill, like that.
Well, what
but
time?
maybe it's that. Like, what is it for you?
Well, one time, and this wasn't haunting. This was funny. It was a funny Bill LaForge story. We're playing in the old Windsor Arena, and I'm with the Hamilton Steelhawks, and it's a rough game. Windsor back then, they got Adam Graves, they have the Shannon brothers, they got Big Glenn Featherston. We have a pretty tough team too. We got Denny VL, Kirk Tomlinson, and it's rough. And after the second period, Bill comes in. He's like, "All right, everybody, take off your shoulder pads. We're going into the stands." I'm like, "Pardon?" I'm like, "Excuse, like, are we doing this?" So all of a sudden, you haven't heard this one, have you? So all of a sudden, we start taking off our shoulder pads because you don't want the fans grabbing your shoulder pads if you're going to fight them, I guess. So, like, and don't forget, this is the OHL. Like, you've got a range from like Keith Primo was on that team. He was 16. I was 17.
16 to 20. 16 to 20.
Yes. And you got your lunatic coach telling you you're going into the stands to fight the fans.
God.
So we had a couple guys start walking up into the stands to go start fighting, and thankfully, security's like, and our assistant coach, somebody with some sanity said, "No, this isn't happening." But I thought it was going down, and I was like, "All right, I guess we're doing this." But
that's a haunt. There's no coming back when you attack fans. There's just no coming back when you attack. But
I would say
used to happen.
Well, yeah. Well, the legendary Mike Milbury with the shoe just hammering the guy's head. That's good comedy though. But okay, haunting. I got another story for you.
All right.
I'll never forget this. This is when you know you're getting traded. It's trade deadline day. I'm playing in Detroit. Back then, this was 1994. Detroit was one of the only teams that flew private charter. We had a plane called the Redbird 1. This plane was awesome. We had our own. It was fantastic. So Redbird 1 takes off for California. We're going on the California trip. I'm super excited. It was 1994. The locket was over. Good times were ahead. All of a sudden, the plane decides to take a pit stop on the way to California, and it stops in New Jersey. And all of a sudden, Faceoff comes on the plane. So we're all doing the math, and we're like, when this plane lands, somebody is getting traded. So when we got to San Jose, we're playing the Ducks. First game was San Jose. Scotty Bowman calls me, and of course, Mike Sillinger. Of course, I got to get traded with Silly, my good buddy, who's been traded more times than anybody.
More than anyone, yeah.
Oh yeah, but that was his first trade. The first time Mike Sillinger was traded, him and I got traded to the Ducks.
Yep.
And we basically just got on a Southwest Airlines flight and went to San Jose to Anaheim and joined the Ducks. But that was funny. Not funny at the time, but when you think about it, Faceoff comes on. It's like someone's got to leave when the plane lands, and Silly knew it was him. I just didn't know it was me because he had rumors about him, and then all of a sudden I get called in too. Yeah, okay, come on in here. You're going on the trade too. I'm like, all right. But that was tough. That was a really good Red Wings team. That was back when they had a young Lidstrom, Fedorov, Yzerman, Dino Cisterelli. Like that was a good team.
Hall
of Fame team.
Hall of Fame. Oh, yeah, you back there. Yeah, you're Hall of Fame, too. That was, it's funny. I was telling a story the other day about Scotty Bowman in St. Louis calling Barclay Plager after a game when it was I think it was either Barclay or Bob, one of the Plager boys, and told him he was like so pissed off at him. And I got to get Scotty on to tell the story. He calls him up and he says, "I've had it with you. I'm done with these mistakes. Pack your bags. Go to the airport. I'm going to call you. When you get there, I'll call you and you call me and I'll tell you where you're going. Pack your bags and go to the airport." And so like, oh, geez, I don't even know where I'm going. But Scotty's told me to go. So he packs his bags and he goes to the airport and he calls Scotty. Scotty goes, "I changed my mind. Come back." Made him drive all the way to the airport thinking he was going to get, no, come on back.
I was just kidding. Oh, that's good.
There's
stuff.
there's one of my favorite Scotty stories too is how he would catch guys at curfew. when he was coaching the Montreal Canadiens. So what he would do is he would leave a hockey stick at the front for the guy doing security.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the players would come back late, the players would be like, shh, don't say a thing. And the guy would be like, oh yeah, sure, but can you sign this stick for me? And so sure enough, all the guys coming in at, 2 bells or 1 bell, whatever, they're signing sticks. And Scotty shows up the next morning for breakfast. So who broke curfew last night? Not a single hand comes up, and he pulls out the hockey stick. These are autographs of all the guys that came in past curfew.
Oh man, everyone's got a great curfew. I've heard that one, by the way. It's legendary.
It's a legendary one.
Get the bellman or whoever to do.
Yeah.
I remember playing in, and I think these guys could possibly write one of the best books of all times. Pan Pacific Hotel in Vancouver, great hotel.
Ooh,
a lot of teams stayed there.
Leafs were banned from there once. Leafs were banned there for a while for an incident.
Why?
Not
Really?
for air,
Really?
not for on air. It may have been with one of our mutual friends, but that's for an off.
But the guys, I always loved that hotel. Number one, great
hotel.
sushi, great beds. But they had guys, if you can remember, that opened the doors for you, and they had these giant top hats. They were the top hat guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the top hat guys not only were there when you arrived, they were there late in the morning too. So when players rolled into the hotel, like whatever time, 1, 2, 3, who knows, maybe later, the top hat guys were there. Could you imagine the stories that the top hat guys from the Pan Pacific could write? Like they've got dirt on everybody.
Everybody. You know what?
Top hat files.
That's the Top Hat Hockey Files. Holy smokes, that is an amazing book waiting to be written. I'll tell you, when you talk about hotels, though, one of my favorite, and this I don't want to say who the person is, or you can probably figure out who it is pretty quickly. So when I was working Hockey Night in Canada rinkside for CBC, this would have been, Yorkie, 2007, maybe 2008. I'm doing I would do Montreal games. And so we get to the Sheraton, and I check in, and one of the people on the broadcast crew sort of waves me over, hey, come on, have a beer. I'm like, oh, let me get my bag upstairs, and I'll come down and have supper with you. And so we start talking and have a beer, and he says, we start talking about suits and ties somehow. And he says, ask me how many ties I have. And I said, how many ties do you have? And he said, about close to 600. And I went, you have 600 ties? He goes, yeah, give or take. And he says, ask me how many I paid for. I said, how many did you pay for? He said, 0. He goes, you should come tie shopping with me sometime. I said, for those prices, I'd love to. Ha, ha, ha. He says, okay, put your beer down. So I put my beer down, and we go walk up he leads me to the front, all right, to where you check in. And he goes up, and he says, listen, I stayed here about a month ago. We left a couple of ties up in the hotel room. Do you have like a lost and found? Sure enough, there's always ties in the lost and found basket. He's like, oh, yeah, these two. Pops them up on his shoulder and back to the bar. He goes, 552 ties now. That's how you go tie shopping. That is my tip for all young broadcasters. If you're looking for free ties, just I stayed here. There's always ties. People are always leaving behind ties. That's how you get ties.
Yes, there is.
Okay, 20 minutes into our conversation, what's up with the Ottawa Senators?
Well, it was kind of a, I would say, a mediocre start for them. Here's what happened to the Ottawa Senators. Last year, Jeff, they didn't score a lot 5-on-5. You still there, by the way?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see you for a sec. Anyhow,
No
I thought my Wi-Fi gunner. So last year they were one of the worst 5-on-5 teams in the league. So it was all about defense, all about playing the right way. Travis Green got the guys to buy in. They make the playoffs. They wanted to take a step this year, score more 5-on-5. So I just think they stopped doing the things that are necessary to win in the league, and that's take care of the puck at the blue lines, don't turn the puck over. Yeah. Like, it's almost like they got away from what they were, and they're starting to find it again. Allmark got off to, he didn't get off to a great start. He was busy. Like, Marek had a tough training camp, so they kind of lost a little bit of faith in him, but he's come back since then. I just think it's a slow start. Last night, they were really good. It was a good hockey game last night with Calgary and Ottawa. The poor Flames, boy, oh boy, they're just they can't catch a break right now. They played very well. It was a good hockey game. At the end of the day, it went down to a shootout. I think Jake Sanderson scored a goal that bounced off 3 guys late in the third. But it's pinball. But Ottawa, I think when it's all said and done, Ottawa will be there as a playoff team this year. If you watch Stützle play, like, he's a star. Like he can
Yeah.
elevate to take over games. Sanderson, the kid's a stud back there, and
Yep.
they got other good pieces. Like I think they'll be fine without Tkachuk. I think they've got enough depth. I think they'll be there when it's all said and done. The question is, will they be a top three or a wild card? I don't know, but I do think
Yeah.
they'll be a playoff team.
I want to circle to Calgary here in a second, but one follow up on Jake Sanderson. He's more than okay. Like Jake Sanderson is so special. Like so special. Like here's my question.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Ask your question.
I was going to say, like, if they could do it again, who would they have taken third and who would they have taken fifth? Stützle or Sanderson? Because, like, you know what it's like, and I know you're like me. Like, I have a bias towards defensemen just because it's such a premium position that it is. Like, just looking at what Jake Sanderson is now and where he is headed to becoming one of the best defensemen in the NHL, the it's phenomenal. And if they could do it all over again, would you do Sanderson third or Stützle third?
Well, you're getting Sanderson. Where the only question back then was which defenseman you were taking. Were you taking it was him or Drysdale, and a lot of people were pissed off that Otto didn't go with the right shot D because not a lot of people knew about Jake Sanderson. So that was the big debate back then, and they obviously chose right now. Well, Drysdale's still a good player, but he's not Sanderson. It's a great question. I don't know. Like I'm a big. They asked this question too: who's the best player on the team? Who's most important? Is it Tkachuk or is it Sanderson?
Yeah,
I'm a defense guy, so I lean towards a defenseman. But I also know, Jeff, you win in this league down the middle too.
Yep.
Like if you look at teams now in the NHL, you have to have a star down the middle if you want to win. You do.
Look at Nashville.
You got to have.
Look at Nashville.
Exactly.
Dying on the vine.
Yeah.
No sense.
Well, they've got. Yeah, I know. Well, and then look at the teams that win. Barkov down the middle. When Tampa was winning, they were Point, Stamkos when he was in his prime, Pittsburgh, Crosby, Taves when Chicago. Yeah. You need centers. So I'm still taking Stützle as much as I love Sanderson.
That's fair. Quick thought on Calgary, and we'll give your arm a break here. This is like a workout for you. I'm really impressed.
I missed my workout. This morning, Jeff. I don't know where the time went. I'm getting ready to fly to Nashville. I knew I had to do this. I don't know. I'm bad with time, man.
Your right shoulder is good. Your right shoulder is going to be so yoked after this interview. You're just holding it up. You're just holding that camera up there. That's awesome.
I'm switching arms.
Oh man, what would Bill LaForge think of that move, Jason York? Oh, he would not approve of that. Quick thought on the Calgary Flames here. Like last week to me was the one that sort of wiped out the Flames. Like the two losses against Winnipeg and the loss against Montreal. It seemed like that was the last gap. You're right. Like they still play hard. Kadri's still playing hard. There's just not there's not there. And I think we all understand where this is going. What do you see with the Calgary Flames right now? Not from lack of effort, but like, what do you see there?
It's definitely not from lack of effort. They're very well coached. I think Ryan Husk is a terrific coach. He's got a great staff. Dave Lowry's now on the bench. Trent Cull, defense coach, my old teammate in the Windsor Spitfires. It was funny. I hadn't seen Trent since like 1990, and finally got to catch up with him. Amazing guy, very good defense coach. I love their staff. I think they got great people. Dustin Wolf. Now that I've got to watch him every game, Jeff, he is a talented goaltender. I'll say number one, I do believe in bounces. And they're getting none. They are getting none. Like that, they very easily could have won this last game against Ottawa. Ricochet goal, shoot it, and you're up to the shootout god. So I think bounces have been an issue. Special teams weren't good to start the season. They're getting better at those. And it's just... Perhaps last year is like they almost made it, but did they overachieve? That is that the question? Do you raise the expectations for this year? But I just think with them, if this continues, they'll have to do something for sure. Of course, absolutely. But Kadri's been really good. Do you know who I really like on this team? And I didn't get a lot. He's in the West, and I predominantly watched the East a little bit more last year. I'm a big Blake Coleman fan.
Oh yeah,
I think this guy, man, he gets up and down the ice. Great penalty killer, good leadership guy, brings it every night. So they're not. I'll tell you this: they're not what their record says. But they still have to be better.
For sure. We'll let you get to the airport. You're a busy guy. Enjoy Nashville. Jason York, make good decisions while you're in Nashville. Always remind everybody, make good decisions.
We're in and out, Jeff. We're in and out. We got actually, you know what? It's hot. It's an afternoon broadcast tomorrow, but we got Halloween tonight, so it'll be interesting to see what Broadway's like on Halloween. I guess everybody's dressing up, right?
You're gonna get they dress up when it's not Halloween. You're gonna get a full eyeball tonight.
Yeah.
You have fun, pal. We'll catch up soon. Have a safe flight.
Thanks, Jeff. Good chat with you.
There he is, the best. Jason York right there from Coming In Hot, as heard right here. On Daily Faceoff and seen right here on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel, and handling color duties for the Calgary Flames games. Great to hear his analysis of that team that has probably deserved a better fate based on how hard they work, but hard work doesn't guarantee you results. It guarantees you an answer to one question, and that question is, how good am I? All right. We had a lot of stories there, Zack. Like, I was supposed to get into Ottawa. I know I'm a really bad host. I was supposed to get into Ottawa, talk like right away, make it interesting, make it relatable, and then York and I just start blasting off on dumb hockey stories.
To be honest with you, I think that today's one of those days with these stories. These people will just love these. We got into the hockey talk. We touched on Sens. We touched on Flames. We got some old school stories. Rosie's gonna come on.
Do you like the tie shopping?
Everyone's gonna tell stories.
Do you like the tie shopping story? That's how you got to go tie shopping. Just go to the front desk when you check in at every hotel. I was here about 2 weeks ago. Left some ties in the room. You got any? Bring out a basket. Sure enough, there'll be a bunch.
I
of
might
ties.
try that. Could be a little.
Dude, it works.
But
trust me. Trust me. I pulled that stunt before.
It's also
I go
not
back
as
to
common
2007
anymore.
What's that?
Like wearing ties. People don't wear ties as common anymore, as often anymore.
I like wearing ties. I do. But then I'm old school like that. But the thing is, I can only do the double Windsor. That's it. That's the only knot I know how to do. We talked about ties yesterday with Wyshynski. Drew Remenda, San Jose Sharks broadcast, the master of the ties. I've never been able to do the dimple. You can't tie a tie? Oh, all your years playing minor hockey, you cannot do a tie?
No, you know what I did, right?
You did. You got your dad to do it once, and then you just kept it loosened. You did. You serious? You're that guy?
So I had to buy a new tie because I went to my buddy's wedding in the summer, and his girlfriend enforced the tie policy. Yeah. And I had to get my buddy to tie the tie for me on the way there because I had a panic. I was like, oh shit, I don't have my tie tied.
That's embarrassing. Yep. That's embarrassing.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying.
We're different. We're different generations though. But I learned how to do a tie. But again, I learned the one knot, and that's the only knot I can do. I've always wanted to be able to do the dimple knot, but I can't. I don't even know what it's called. I've always been able to want to, but just loosening the tie that your dad did for you is so minor hockey. That is such a minor hockey move.
Think smart.
Except it looks like crap. Except
works.
your tie ends up looking terrible.
Peacoat, toque.
Peacoat, toque. Dad
messy tie. You're good.
All right. Jay Rosehill still to come. Dan MacKenzie, the president of the CHL, all still to come on the program. In the meantime, Hungry for Hockey History is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, and enabling me to be a good dad. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all of the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. What do you have for us today, Zackaroo?
Yep, we got 3 different ones here today.
Okay.
This one, we're going back through some different time zones here. So starting in 1987, Marcel Dionne scored his 700th career NHL goal, becoming the 3rd player to achieve that. 1995, Brian Leetch reached 500 career points when he registered 2 assists in a 5-3 win against the New York Rangers against the San Jose Sharks. And in 2021, Ryan Getzlaf became the Anaheim Ducks' all-time leading scorer by recording his 989th point in a 4-2 win against Montreal Canadiens.
I want to talk about the guy whose nickname was Little Beaver. Marcel Dionne. Why are you laughing? It was given to him when he was very young. It was after a smallish wrestler, Lionel Giroux, whose nickname was Little Beaver. That's what they called Marcel Dionne. Le Petit Castor, comme on dit en français. Why are you laughing?
Keep going.
You're not going to be able to hold it together because you're fucking 12. That's why, because you're 12 years old and you can't hold together. His nickname was really Little Beaver. Yes, it is. And he's one of the best hockey players who ever played the game. He is all-time, let me grab this here, all-time scorers in the NHL. Marcel Dionne comes in at 6th, 1,771 points. I want you to think about this. Who's the best second overall pick in the history of the game? To me, it comes down to 2, maybe 3. There's Marcel Dionne, there's Chris Pronger, and Evgeny Malkin. Now, there's some in this generation that are going to make some noise for that title. Alexander Barkov, Jack Eichel, right? There's these types of players. I think Drew Doughty is probably in that mix as well. There's some other great ones. Daniel Sedin, the second overall draft pick, as is Brendan Shanahan. But in the history of hockey, I don't know that there's been a better number 2 second overall pick than Marcel Dionne. Has a great book. He wrote a great book along with Frank Mahovlich's son, Ted Mahovlich, a number of years ago. And he was one of the only players that I was nervous to meet. Because remember, my dad would always tell me about how, when I was a kid, how great Marcel Dionne is, but we never got a chance to see him because he played in Los Angeles. And this isn't the time where every single hockey game was on. You had every screen, every team, every household had the potential to watch a hockey game, every hockey game. You would see the Los Angeles Kings very rarely. I would read about Marcel Dionne playing with the Los Angeles Kings, but never really get a chance to see him until the playoffs rolled around. And then finally, oh, look at this. Oh, it's a miracle on Manchester. Here, let's watch the Los Angeles Kings in those great uniforms. Best second overall draft pick ever. Maybe close second. Chris Pronger, maybe close second. Evgeny Malkin. Anyway, that is my thought on Little Beaver. What's your thought on Little Beaver?
Great nickname. That's my thought.
Is that going to be an awkward transition to our next guest, or is he going to roll with it?
If anybody can roll with it, it's him.
All right. He's one half of the powerhouse duo that is Leafs Morning Take. He's also a star on the Spit and Chicklets podcast as well. He's a bon vivant. He's a man about town. He's here to tell us stories. Some of them might even be true. He's a great Jay Rosehill, and he joins me now. How you doing today, Rosie?
Little Beaver sounds like a name he picked up on a road trip back in the day.
No, this is when he was a kid. He was he had a resemblance to a. I don't think they don't. The politically correct term is not midget wrestler anymore, but a midget wrestler who went by the name Little Beaver, and he looked like him, and that nickname just sort of always stuck with him. I don't know what you were thinking, Jay, but that's where my mind went right away. Hey, so it's Halloween. And I'm so proud of, I know I've been bigging up Philly a lot on the show, but I'm really proud of Philly today because the question he came up with is a great one. The QID for today's program: what moment haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? Now, you played, so this might be something from your career, maybe a restless night before you had to fight the boogeyman. Maybe it's when you were a kid. Like for me, it was a Lanny McDonald trade that just shook 10-year-old me to the core. What is the moment that haunts you the most in your hockey fandom, Jay Rosehill?
Oh, I think I've got lots of scary moments and haunting scenarios in my career, no doubt. But one that stands out to me is it was my second game playing overseas, and I was in Glasgow playing. We were in Belfast the night before. They had me net front on the power play, and no one wanted to stand there, so I stood there. It was big, took one off the knee, scored a goal, power play. The guy says, if you stand there all year long, you'll get a ton of points. So my confidence is high. Very next night, second game overseas. I've been there about a week, standing net front of the power play, big back scratching clapper.
Oh no!
I just watched that thing go right into my face and put me on my arse. And you blacked it out, Zack. You are such a wimp. That's the best.
Why'd you black it out?
It's YouTube. YouTube will pull it for blood. YouTube will pull it for blood.
Oh, it will.
It's not because we can't do it, just because I don't want to. I want to show it.
Oh man.
Oh, there's a hole in the side of my face. 3 teeth are gone. It broke my palate, like the roof of my mouth. Just crushed it. And I remember put me on my arse, and then I got up and started skating to the bench. I'll never forget licking around my mouth and just teeth and meat everywhere. It was awful. I was going to our bench, and then I went by their bench and looked up at them as I kind of spit some blood out, and they all were repulsed. Oh! And I was like, and I just hooked her over to the other doors to go to the dressing room. I figured that was the end of my night. And I'm just now over. That was probably 2016. I'm just now over getting the work done to repair all
Are
of
you
that.
serious? You're still getting that? You're still getting that work done?
Yeah. So different nerve endings and posts and implants, and I did bone grafts and all kinds of stuff. Hours and hours and hours and hours in the chair. Just nightmare scenario. Very fitting for this Halloween day.
Do you think that we're getting to a place? Now, I'll preface this by saying, once upon a time, if you mentioned the idea of mandatory helmets, people would scoff at you, or mandatory visors, people would scoff at you. Do you think that eventually the NHL gets to a place with mandatory cages?
Oh, goodness. I really hope not. I mean, okay, so that's like as bad of a story as you can get is mine. And what is it? Lost some teeth. Like, I really think that being able to see the players' faces and have access to them and their personalities and, their brand, I think is huge. And I hope that always stays. They don't load up the guy's face with the big chin. You can't really see who's who when you're wearing a cage. Yeah. You really can't. It takes away from it. So I hope not. My God, they already got visors. And of all the years of no one wearing visors, there's one guy that stands out with an eye injury, which is kind of shocking. And I'm not against visors, but just let the men make grown-up decisions. Stop forcing them to put stuff on.
I don't like telling anybody what to do with their life. You do whatever you want to do with your life. I don't like telling people how to live. I don't like telling people what to do. Like I am not that person. My only thought on it is I can see owners who invest a lot of money in players that help bring them in a lot of revenue. And if like one of the superstar players is down for like an entire season or however long because of going through what you went through, and they could remedy that by putting on a cage, I just wonder what the decision would be. I'll tell you a funny story. Here's a funny story for Halloween. It's a Bobby Orr story. So Bill Masterton passes away in the NHL. Okay, it's a Minnesota-Los Angeles Kings game. Hits his head on the ice and passes away 2 days later. And everyone in the league starts to get, understandably, nervous about playing without a helmet. And all of a sudden, everybody's putting on helmets or trying to play with a helmet. And even the Boston Bruins, who always prided themselves on, like, none of our guys wear helmets. None of our guys wear helmets, including Bobby Orr. And he tries it at practice. And halfway through practice, he takes it off. And as the story goes, one of the reporters afterwards, loaded question, and this reporter had been like dying to ask it. So one of the reporters goes up to Bobby and says, "Bobby, let me get this straight. You'll wear a jock strap, but you won't wear a helmet." And Bobby turns around and says, "That's right, because I can always get someone else to do my thinking for me."
Good answer. I like those ones.
One of the great comebacks of all time on this on this Halloween. To extend the motif, scary times in Toronto, Jay Rosehill. Is this just like roller skating down a gravel road because this is a team in transition or learning to play a different way with new personnel? I know sometimes when you try to figure out what teams are like this early in the season, it's like trying to grab a handful of water. But as best you can, grab the handful of water that are the Toronto Maple Leafs right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I keep bringing myself back to the summer where unanimously everyone said, and agreed that this is going to take some time. Don't be surprised if there's growing pains. Don't be surprised if they don't come out of the gates hot. They're reinventing themselves in a certain way. There's a bunch of new players to get used to. There's going to be line combination configurations going on left, right, and center, and that may take some time. So nobody freak out if they don't come out of the gates hot. Well, they did not come out of the gates hot, but I don't think that prevented anyone from freaking out. It seems like, it is a theme for October. Like, they won the Atlantic Division last year, and their record was eerily similar to the one this year in the month of October. So, yeah, while it seems like a long month and there's one blunder after another, I think you need to keep in mind that you should have been prepared for this to be, a process, and there'd be some growing pains.
Right.
It's still frustrating to watch. Yes. Does everyone still want to dissect and figure out what is wrong and what could be better? Also, yes. But whenever I get frustrated and I'm like, I'm just going to go off today, I'm like, pump the brakes. Remember how you felt in the summer when you knew that this might be, a bumpy road for the first bit of the season.
It's kind of like, I look at it. I was talking about this the other day on the show. It's kind of like rebuilds. Every fan, when their team has taken that dip and, playoffs are not going to be on the horizon, every fan base talks about how we need to rebuild and we're all behind the rebuild and let's do the rebuild. That lasts 1 year. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so when did the results come? Whoa. Like 5 minutes ago, you were saying you were cool with the rebuild. Yeah. But that was 5 minutes ago. Now we want the team now. Like, the one thing we know about hockey, really it's the one thing we know about sports, is there's two speeds, super slow and super fast. And rebuilds are super slow. That's why I'm hearing you talk about this and say, like, pump the brakes here. This isn't a rebuild, but it's a team that's playing differently with new personnel. And everyone said they were fine with that in July.
Most people did, yeah, but that's not very that's not indicative of the market that they play in, and I guess I understand that. But yeah, I feel like the problems that they have, I mean, they've been riddled with injuries. You know, Anthony Stolarz has been carrying the crease with the absence of Joseph Woll, which is, not something he's really done before. And hasn't played his best. We know there's better. The D-core, Tanev's been out and guys have been out and they're not playing their best. We know that they can. Forward, same idea. And I do think on the positive side of things that the problems they're having, I mean, you're seeing their breakdowns. They're not supporting the puck. They don't have layers. They don't seem to have a common theme that they're always trying to lead with, where guys are familiar, where everybody is. It seems like they're winging it. Every breakout, every neutral zone regroup, every entry, they're just winging it. And it hasn't led to a whole lot of success. But I do think that those are issues that you can clean up in a hurry, and they are getting used to each other, and nobody has played with the same guy with too much familiarity at all. They're putting the lines in a blender, actually, the way Sheldon Keefe did. And I really think that Berube is trying to find some chemistry with certain people and figure it out. Again, it's the first month of the season. I think the problems that they have here, I would not be shocked if we hit Christmas and look back and say, oh, yeah, I remember that brutal start. It's been a theme for this hockey team for a while now.
Is there a way, and maybe this is unfair because every team has such different personalities, but I'll throw this out there anyway. Is there a way that this team, given the personnel, has to play? Like, can this be like an East-West team? Can this team be like a table hockey, here's your lane, stay in it? If you're a winger and you can't touch the boards, you're out of position. Like, what kind of team, based on the personnel, do you think this Maple Leaf squad should be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we know what they've been in the past, and that's, pretty high talent, high octane, try to win 6-5 type of a team. And I just think that the theme that came out of that decade was, that's all fine and dandy in the regular season, but you just never can rely on it come playoff time, like one after another after another. It was proven. So it was put up or shut up. We're going to give another one of those types of players the bag and just like cement this team into being that team for the foreseeable future. We're going to make a change. And I think the change was, let's try to spread that money around so we have, more of a wealth of size, of physicality, of workhorses, of forecheckers, guys that you can just roll out there in the playoffs and play like, the Boston Bruins did in years past, and the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights, all teams that have won Stanley Cups. It's kind of a copycat league. I think the question right now is, do you have the leadership who can adopt that? Like, will Willie Nylander, will Austin Matthews, can they adopt that mentality too? Because they're the ones running the ship. And if they're not willing to, it's kind of hard to call that your identity. And I think they're wrestling with that right now.
John Tavares, goal number 500. I believe there's only 5 other players, and he's not eligible for the Hall of Fame yet, but here we go. 500 goals is, where once upon a time 400 goals was the barrier to entry for the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now it's 500. You get 500 goals, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's a number where you should look at and say, okay, let's have a look at the career, and is that going to get him in the Hockey Hall of Fame? Does 500 goals for John Tavares for you get him in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Whew, great question. It's interesting. It's who is going to be eligible around him at the same time. I'll tell you one thing: put a Stanley Cup ring on his finger, and it's a no-brainer,
Sure.
right? That's the one thing. There's guys that are in there who, are basically propped up by their cup rings and their trophies, and rightfully so. And it's, you crunch the numbers, and 500 is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. There's not even 50 people who have walked this earth who have done it, and he's one that has. Is just, maybe that's enough right there, right? But from his longevity, professionalism, the way he handles himself, leadership qualities, maybe it'll take a little longer, but I think he's a guy that'll be in the Hall one day.
So here are the names. There are 4 others, okay, that have hit 500 goals that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Patrick Marleau, Keith Tkachuk, Peter Bondra, Mr. Capital, and Pat Verbeek. Everybody else hit 500 here in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I don't think there's any cups in that list, is there?
Nope. Well, Pat Verbeek won a cup with Dallas in '99.
Okay.
He was with Dallas on that '99 team.
Yeah, it's funny. Some guys can do everything but that cup, and it holds them back in people's minds. It might hold them back in the Hall of Fame's mind. But I tell you one thing: for everything John Tavares has done, that cup ring, just one, would just cherry on top, and then guaranteed Hall of Fame. You could die with a smile on your face. I'm sure he feels that way. It's the one big thing that every player wants to do. He's done everything and then some, but not that special thing, which is win a championship.
There's one biggie from history. I mean, there's a lot now, like Ovi's, on knocking on the door here of 900. There is a massive one here, and technically he's still playing. He's just retired from the NHL, and that's Jagr. I think it's pretty safe to say Rosie is going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Pretty safe to say.
Legendary. His cups are so long ago now. Like, most people listening probably weren't born when Jagr won his cups. Early 90s. It's wild, but that guy's a legend. I got to Philly right after he left there, and the guys would talk about him all the time. Just they spoke so highly of him, his work ethic. I mean, he's got the ice before practice. He's skating around. He's doing practice with ankle weights and weighted vests. He just loved it. And the fact he's still playing pro hockey is unbelievable. And the way he rubbed off on the younger generation, still being effective at the age that he was when he was still in the NHL is nothing short of impressive. And those guys remember it, I'll tell you that.
The running the stairs with the weight vest. Like, whenever I was doing a game that Jagr was involved in, just watching him, in off days, like watching him run stairs with a weight vest, like just through the whole rink. I'm like, what species are you? Like, are we this, like, technically we're the same species, but like, it really doesn't feel like that.
We're doing different things up there.
Last one for you. In your time playing in the NHL, who loved Halloween more than anybody else? Maybe it was you. Like, who was the one guy that just like lived for Halloween? Big costumes every year, party at his place. Was there one guy who just like lived and died on Halloween? Love it.
I do remember Dionne Phaneuf cruising around the locker room and like making sure everyone had a costume and it better be good and don't cheap out on it, and like wanting it to be like a good picture. Him and Alicia, his wife, showed up and they were head to toe, like professional makeup. Like, most of the guys go pretty good and spend a few bucks on a really good outfit. But I remember being like, now I got to put in some real effort here because Dionne's going to be on my case. So,
he's married to an actress. Like, all of a sudden, like, the game's different in Toronto, man. Like,
yeah, maybe. Hey. But
like
Clark
access
MacArthur,
to professional.
Sorry, thinking of that party, Clark MacArthur was Forrest Gump, and his wife was Lieutenant Dan, and she was in this wheelchair. She's flexible and could put her sit on her knees, and it looked like she had no legs in this wheelchair, and she was done up like Lieutenant Dan, and he looked exactly like forest, and people would just fall over laughing when they saw them. It was the best costume I think I've ever seen.
I don't know his wife, but I could totally see Clark MacArthur as Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
oh, that's so good. What was your favorite costume? Did you have one? Or just standard, like throwing a pair of fangs. Look, I'm Dracula. Here's my cape. Where's the beer?
No, like one time I was like full spandex and had like ping pong balls over me. And you know, back in the day when they'd like make like EA, and I had EA Sports on my chest, and you'd be like the video game simulator guy. And it was funny because people would look and they'd know what it was right away when you saw it. But to describe it sounds kind of weird. I don't know how I came up with that, but I've been a good Hooters girl, and I don't mind like embarrassing myself, so I always get out there. Usually I'm showing like some kind of skin or being half naked or something. It's kind of weird, but I think I'm getting old.
Look, it's Jay Rosehill with spandex and ping pong balls all over him. Now we know what religion he is. Jay, thanks, pal. We'll catch up soon. Have a great Halloween tonight.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Happy Halloween, man.
To you too. The great Jay Rosehill from Leafs Morning Take. I had to throw that one in there, Zach. A little bit of spice. That would be a funny one. I like that one too. You get a lot of giggles on today's show. It's a laid back Friday.
It's a fun show today.
Fun show. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what's going to make it is your question, and that's coming up now, because it's time now for the question of the day, presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
All right, indeed. Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Just prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA-free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and larger 4-quart Tupperware container. Whether you're whipping up a quick single-serve meal in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Clean up, simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. Turn the recreation over to the artist. Describe your masterpiece today, Zach.
Again, you said you had some choice words. I won't share what they were, but I'm giving some credit here to Vic, who helped me word and frame this one here today.
Day late, dollar short Vic. Day late, dollar short Vic. Beat it. Okay, take a long walk on a short beer. Keep walking until your hat floats, Vic. Keep walking until your hat floats.
As we discussed throughout the course of the show today, what moment haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? We've got a ton of different approaches to this one, as Rosie got hit in the face, Yorkie, the trade stories, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do, Jeff, I think this is the best way, because I wasn't sure how many we were going to get. We got a lot. So I'm going to rattle them off. You tell me what ones stand out. You stop on them if you want to, because there's some really good ones. There's some that are just worth a laugh, but let's get into it here. So these are some of the responses that we've got here today with our spooky music playing in the back there.
I love that.
This one comes in from Matrim Ibarra. The Breadman facade, and then watching it slowly fall apart for the Hawks.
Oh yeah. That was a tough one. Trades are easy ones. That was mine. That was Landon McDonald, but Artemi Panarin for Brandon Saad. Good one.
Yep. This one comes in from Desert Hockey 25. Also comes in from producer Vic and about 18 other people. It was 4-1.
That's yours.
That is the tweet. That is also yours. Mine.
Yeah, I'd give you hockey PTSD. Yes, I know.
Yes. Hockey fan in NC says the Wings signing Franzen, who I loved at the time, over Marian Hossa.
You know how I feel about Hossa, one of the best players of all time. This is every team has one of these, and Philadelphia Flyers fans will always recall the choosing John Van Beesbroek over Curtis Joseph decision that Bobby Clark made so many years ago. Every fan base has that. The trade where we have the two, which one are we going to choose? And the GM makes the mistake. Happens, no one bats 1,000.
So we've also got here, I didn't even realize I grabbed this one, P. Sweet Math, being a Buffalo Sabres fan.
Oh, come on. I know they dropped a couple of games, tough one last night, but like, let's not kick the team when they're down. There were some glory years for the Buffalo Sabres, and cross your fingers. There's more on the horizon. I hope so. Man, 14 years though. Jeez, just take it in the chops. It's tough.
MJB Haynes, Dan Hamhuis injury from hip checking.
Yep.
Hamhuis, hip checking Lucic in the 2011 finals. The series turning point, in my opinion.
Ooh, I mean, there were a few in that series. That was one of the best. I mean, I was there for it. I was there for the Game 7 for the riots and trying to wade my way through fires and police horses and meth fights and all kinds of stuff. That was one of the best Stanley Cup finals ever. I know as a Canucks fan you may not like it. I think another great, unfortunately, was the Canucks on the wrong end of things, was the 94 final, which was fantastic. Those are two of the top 10 Stanley Cup finals of all time. That Bruins Canucks, man, you want to talk about like instant hockey hatred right from the get-go? That was it. And every shift was like that. Goddamn Dan Hamhuis was a great player too. But, you know, take a run at Milan Lucic at your own risk in 2011. He was a good body checker, though.
Kidding.
Hamhuis was a great body checker.
Druid 8, 2007 playoffs. Luongo arguing with the refs while the winning goal is scored.
Yeah, there's that one. Didn't we get a few about Luongo?
Yeah. So this one also comes in.
What was that
from,
other one? There's another one that was great.
Yeah, so this one comes in from ZAQ5322. A couple numbers in there. The Panthers made 3 separate trades involving Roberto Luongo. In each one, they traded away my current favorite player on the teams at the time. From the Islanders, and again, you're going to have to correct me on these names, Jeff. I apologize
to
people
problem.
and the names that I'm saying incorrectly. But from the Islanders, they sent Oleg Kvasha.
Big forward. Stud.
To the Canucks, they sent Lucas Krajicek. With him, sorry. To bring him back from Vancouver, it was Jacob Markstrom.
Man, I'm glad that things worked out the way that they did for Jacob Markstrom, because there was a while there where we kept saying he's the best goaltender outside of the NHL, and man, Florida's got a good one, but then in some ways could never really get out of his way. Like there'd be like glimpses of how great this guy could be, and then, listen, goaltending is volatile, I get it. I'm just glad that he's pulled it together and turned in a fantastic career, because there were times where we all sort of wondered, is it ever going to happen for Jacob Markstrom, the best goaltender outside of the NHL? That's now Mirashev, by
Stephen
the way,
Ellis.
the American Hockey League for Pittsburgh. God, that guy's good.
Stephen Ellis, who always has good answers to this.
Yes.
My summer ice hockey team lost a championship game to a team with no goalie in 2010.
Whoa, with no goalie?
With no goalie is what the tweet says.
How do you lose a ball hockey game? Hang on, how do you lose a ball hockey game on the team with no goalie?
I don't know, but playing in men's league games where the other team's goalie doesn't show up or leaves is the most, like, deflating feeling of all time. I don't know how many times it's happened to you, but we had one recently, Jeff, where the goalie got hurt on the first shot of the game, and the other team decided that was it. They were done. They were quitting. And it was like, well, we just drove here.
What?
Now what? Yeah, they were like, well, we don't have a goalie, so we're done. I was like, well, what do you mean you're done? Like, it was, you know what it actually was?
What's that?
It's funny enough, it was Halloween last year.
No way.
That was when the game happened, yeah. And I was supposed to go do stuff and didn't get to because the goalie got hurt on the first shot of the game.
Speaking of Halloween, let me do like, can you pop up the Doug Favell mask? So this is actually, Halloween is the reason why we have painted masks in the NHL. So I have painted masks in hockey. This was the beginning of it. So I think it was 7. Now, first of all, Jerry Cheevers was the first to put any types of markings on his mask. But that mask was the first one that was fully painted. This is Doug Favell. I want to say 71 or 72. Now, this story goes, it was Halloween, and the trainers asked Doug, who at that point had a white mask, if they could play around with his mask for the game that night. I believe it was against the Los Angeles Kings. And so, as a joke, the trainers painted the whole thing orange. Now, it's the Philadelphia Flyers, so orange makes sense. But they painted his mask like a pumpkin for Halloween. And that was the beginning of every other goaltender in the NHL starting to paint their mask. You can trace it all back to Doug Favell, and unfortunately, that mask got painted over. But that was the beginnings of goalies painting their masks. You can thank Doug Favell. You can thank the trainers of the early 70s, Philadelphia Flyers. And you can thank Halloween and a prank on Doug Favell for painted masks that we enjoy to this day. And with that, we'll transition to one of our favorites around here. He is the president of the CHL. He is Dan MacKenzie, and later on in November, the CHL USA Prospects Challenge in Calgary and Lethbridge. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Halloween. The question of today, I'll kind of put you on the spot here. You can go whichever direction you want with this one, because mine was, I was 10 years old and Lanny McDonald got traded and I was distraught. So here's the question of the day. What moment haunts you the most in your hockey fandom? It can be a game, it can be a trade, it can be anything that you're like, oh, this shook me. This rattled me when it happened. For some, it might be the Gretzky trade. For me, it was the Lanny McDonald deal. Do you have one that still to this day haunts you, Dan?
So when I was a kid, I grew up in Southern Ontario, and I was born in 1969. So I was a Philadelphia Flyers fan. And so that was the Broad Street Bullies.
Oh yeah.
And my down the street best friend was a guy named Greg Dvorsky, who you probably would know that name.
So hang on a second here. Like from the famous Dvorsky family of officials?
Yeah. So Greg, Paul, his father was Bill was a significant figure in the officiating world and in our area for sure. Anyway, Greg was a Leafs fan and I was a Flyers fan, and we whenever we play each other on the driveway, it was always Clark against Sittler, or I was Bernie Perrant and he was so and so. And the Bernie Perrant injury that ultimately curtailed his career, I think, was for me was a big one.
Oh yeah, the stick in the eye, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't want to I hate and I always end up doing this, like, I'm going to big dog this story, but let me color this story in, because there's a junior hockey association to this one that's going to transition us to our conversation through the Ottawa 67s. Bernadette Dvorsky, the mom. Bernadette Dvorsky was the delivering nurse when Logan Couture, formerly of the Ottawa 67s and then San Jose Sharks, was born. That is like my most arcane piece of trivia, that the legendary officiating family's matriarch delivered Logan Couture, NHL superstar, former Ottawa 67. And with that, we'll get into junior hockey talk. And I do want to talk about the draft, and I do want to talk about prospect rankings, and I do want to talk about where the CHL is at right now with prospects. But listen, I had such a good time last year at the London and Oshawa games in the CHL USA Prospect Challenge. This year, November 25th and 26th in Calgary and Lethbridge. Last year was a fun event, and it was a cool event. I'm glad that this continues as a tentpole event for the CHL. Rosters announced earlier this week. What should we expect this time around? This is obviously populated by a lot of players you're going to see like last year. I think it was like half the first round was in that game, and it feels like it's going to be the same this time around.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I think if you said, what are you going to see? I think you're going to see two things. You're going to see really high-level prospects, really high-level talent on the ice. I think we have, on Team CHL, there's 22 players. 15 are A-ranked by the NHL Central Scouting, and the other 7 are B-ranked. So you're talking about, elite players. And I think that, the thing that you're going to see, and one of the reasons why we really like this format is, this isn't an all-star game. This isn't the game's not going to be 10-9. These teams care, especially in today's sort of environment, right? Like, the players on Team CHL are going to be happy to represent the CHL and care. And I think you're going to find the same thing, obviously, about players on the United States national team who are going to be, really keen on avenging. They ended up losing the games last year. They're going to want to come back and win and show well, but there's a lot of pride on the line. And so I think that's something that's exciting, and I think the fact that it's 2 games also matters. And I know from speaking with our friends at the NHL on the Central Scouting side, they're really happy that they're getting opportunities to see players play in 2 games. And they even said last year after the game, they really saw some players face adversity in the first game and then come back and show well in the second game, which really helped the draft stock. And those are the kinds of little things that scouts are looking for.
The other thing, like, I remember going back to that, and the London game specifically, perhaps a little bit more so than the Oshawa game. You always think about where's the moment where a kid pops and sort of gets on, like, scouts know all these players going in, but gets on like fans' radars. And that first hit that Kashan Aitchison laid, and it might have been towards the end of the first period of the first game, everyone kind of went like, ooh, who's this, Kashan Aitchison? Like, if you're just like a casual fan, all the heavyweights going in, like the star players. I wonder, like, someone like Caleb Malhotra with the Bulldogs. Like, everyone knows, like, the family background through Manny. But I wonder, like, one of the things about this game or these 2 games, is it's not club play. So you're getting elite level talent against elite level talent. And this is a place where, if you're a prospect that wants to make a name for yourself, this is a great avenue and forum for those players to do so.
It absolutely is, and I think these players have all played against each other in high level competition, whether it be at the the U18s or the Helenka or the U17 Challenge. Like, there's a whole bunch of places that they would have played each other, and so I think there's some familiarity. But I also think that, to your point, maybe some players who maybe aren't at the, viewed as being at the top of the list right now have an opportunity to jump. And I remember one of the things I remember last year, watching the first game, it really became clear that Matthew Schaefer was something special. And he separated himself, and I think that was one of the first, times where I remember after, following all the press after that, he really separated himself. So it can happen at both ends of the spectrum in terms of the players. And I also remember the other one I really remember, it's an interesting sort of nugget to this game, is in the second game in Oshawa, the U.S. goalie, Bottinger, played phenomenal, stood on his head.
Yep.
And he's now going to be playing for Team CHL this year, which is an interesting twist. So, like, listen, I think this is about the kids having an opportunity to showcase their skills in an environment that's sort of set up perfectly for them. The games matter. I think it's going to matter to the players, going to matter to the teams. Mm-hmm. The U.S. team wants to win. We want to win. We've got an all-star lineup of coaches. We've got some of the top coaches. We probably have the top coaches right now in each of the leagues between Willie Desjardins, Jay McKee, and Sylvain Favreau. The games are going to be phenomenally competitive. The talent level is going to be super high. It's best on best, nothing better. So it's going to be fun. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, if you're in Southern Alberta and you're looking to buy tickets, chl.ca/prospects challenge is where you can go. Yeah. Again, first night's in Calgary, second night's in Lethbridge, and it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait.
You know what I love? And this is just a small hockey geek thing. I love warm up with all the junior players wearing their club jerseys. I just think it's like it's the coolest look. Like, right away you can get out there and sort of like identify your guy or your guys. And speaking of which, I want to ask you about JP Hurlburt, who's come into Kamloops, playing with the Blazers, from Texas. Tom Ghilardi owns the Dallas Stars. Tom Ghilardi, Kamloops Blazers. I don't think that's a coincidence, but nonetheless, like, he's come into the CHL. And I know you have a lot of players coming in and around their draft years right now, and really torn it up. Like, he's been a phenomenal success early on here for the Kamloops Blazers. Where are you seeing now? I want to sort of dovetail this conversation into how the new reality has, in many ways, strengthened the CHL. And there are a lot of players now that are choosing, and before their draft year, to go play in the CHL. Hurlburt is one of them. If there wasn't this reality, do you think this player would be in the Western Hockey League?
No, I don't think he would. And I think, another one would be Caleb Malhotra, who's going to play for Team CHL as well. The change last November in the NCAA rule has resulted in, basically, we said it sort of at the time, it's giving players and their families and their agents, lots of choices in terms of what they're, where they feel the next best step for their development is. And what we're seeing is that in this class of player, this age group of player, we're seeing a massive movement of players into the CHL from a variety of different places. But ultimately, they're choosing to play in our leagues. And JP's one of them, Caleb's one of them, but there's a lot of them. And, we've seen about 250 ballpark players that have come in. And these are players a lot of them we never would have gotten, right? They were Americans who wanted to play, or who obviously wanted to play NCAA, some Canadians in the same boat, some Europeans in the same boat, some Europeans who maybe didn't have the opportunity because of the way our rules were set up. And so what we're seeing is that the CHL is the preferred destination for this age of players, 16, 17, 18, 19 in the world. Because these players, especially pre-draft, feel like this is the place where they can develop the fastest, get the most exposure. And if it's events like the Prospects Challenge that give them that opportunity to do so, along with, the combination of schedule, facilities, coaching, all the things that make the CHL, the best development league in the world.
I look at it right now and I say to myself, the leading up to the draft year, the CHL looks to me as the strongest it's ever been for all those reasons that you sort of underline. What are the challenges for you after that? Like, you've attracted, a lot of talent from a lot of places, USHL and BCHL and European. You've upped the import rule. Now there can be 3. What about after that? Like, is that like where the challenges begin?
Well, at that year, I think you're right. We are at a point where, we are seeing, the talent level of our league rise overall rise. I think when you look at the Central Scouting rankings that came out a couple weeks ago, we had this year almost 75% of the players on the list, and the list was increased from last year, were from the CHL, and record numbers from each of our leagues. It's not just coming from, say, the Ontario Hockey League; it's coming from everywhere. The WHL, the OHL, and the QMJHL all saw record numbers of players on those lists. So I think that's an assertion that it is a really great place to play if you want to get drafted into the NHL. I think to answer your question about what's next, I think we've had lots of discussions about at what point do players make their again as there's decisions to make on the entry point into the CHL, there's also decisions to be made on the exit point. And when do you leave? And do you leave with remaining eligibility? Do you not? Mm-hmm. And I think those decisions are still going to be made. All right. I think that we saw some movement last year. We had about 20 players approximately with eligibility decide to leave, and move to the NCAA. Again, about 250 came in on the other end. And I think what we're focused on, and you and I have talked about this, Jeff, before, is just, we have to make sure that our places are great places for 19-year-old players at the top end to continue to develop. And traditionally, our league has been the combination of the schedule, the opportunities, especially for leadership positions, playing a lot of minutes, playing a lot of situations, getting the chance to, before you move on to pro hockey, which we all know is a man's game and is hard. Yep. Before you make that jump, proving that you can be the leader on your team, or be a leader on your team, or play a specific role. And so, and I think that one of the things that we're focused on, and I know you've had commissioners from our leagues on this show talking about the improvements that they're making in their development system. I mean, this is about developing players, and it's about developing young men, both on and off the ice. But there's been a lot of focus in terms of the the off ice stuff in terms of facilities and all the areas where, I think we hear about as it relates to opportunities they might have in the NCAA. And so I think what you're seeing on our side, you're beginning to see, and I think it's really ramped up, and I think it will continue to ramp up because our communities and our teams are really competitive. Is they're going to make sure that they're doing all they can to develop their players, and they have the best facilities and coaching staffs and ancillary services. Whether I'm talking like strength and conditioning coaches and mental performance coaches and all those areas that are really important. And so I think that's going to probably be where you're going to continue to see work on our side to make sure that we're best able to compete and have a discussion with a player and an agent when they're getting to that age where they're thinking the grass might be a bit greener somewhere else, that we can say, well, here's what we've done and here's what we're, here's how our system can help you develop, at the elder state of your junior hockey career.
The one thing that I have been impressed with, which, a part of me just bluntly, Dan, I'm a little surprised at, is how organizations, teams, managers are working with kids on their development path, not just in the CHL, but elsewhere. People that I've spoken to, like, okay, this is what we've sort of laid out for this player. This is what he wants to do. This is how he's going to come through our system. And it's like, okay, you know what? Like that to me says, look, this is the CHL putting the premium on development. And I want to stress something like that is those are the majority of conversations that I have. Like that is like overwhelmingly teams working with the players and figuring out with them and their families and the teams what is best for their development. Now here's the turn. The comments by Antoine Roussel and Chicoutimi about Nathan Lecomte. You know how sensitive an issue this is for me. I love these kids and I love the CHL and all three leagues. So our listeners and viewers understand, Lecomte took a little bit of time away from Chicoutimi. There was speculation he was going to jump to the USHL. I don't believe anybody contacted asking for a release. And TVA Sports reporting, Antoine Roussel, who sits on the board at Chicoutimi, said, I wouldn't let that player go. The league must make an example of him and make his life hard. Like when I hear that, like that is the complete antithesis of what I've heard from overwhelming majority of other organizations. Like when you hear that, what goes through your mind? Because in my mind, that ain't helping at all.
Well, listen, I can't make a comment on what he was thinking when he said that. With Roussel was thinking about when he said that. So I can't really comment on that. I do know, with respect to this situation, that the player that Nathan, I believe, had indicated that after the prospects game last week that he wanted to take some time away and just more for his well-being. And I think he talked to his team about that, and they were the team and his teammates, I think, were very supportive of that. I know his agent, came out with something, and then and I also know, as you said, that the team didn't receive any. There was no.
That's my understanding. That's my understanding.
Asked for release, and I also know the situation. I believe that the situation has resolved itself in terms of Nathan is back with his club and has talked to his team about where he's at and is going to move forward. And that team in particular is going to be I think a team that will likely go a long way this year, just given the state that they're in. So again, but I can't really comment on the comments from Rousseau. But I can tell you that to the first part of the question around development and looking at a player's full development across their time with us, that is something that's beginning to be that I shouldn't say beginning. Many of our teams have done that in the past, but what we're finding is more and more teams are mapping that out with their players, and I think it's interesting because I think some of it comes down to, with the change in the landscape, with the NCAA rule change. I think what you're seeing is a bit of Jeff, I know you're really well versed on the levels below the CHL and what happens in minor hockey and junior A and junior B. I think that, with the change in the rule, there's becoming more of an interface, I'd say, between the CHL club and some of those levels below it.
Yep.
And a desire to have players be able to move, move up and down, depending on what makes the most sense for the player. Understanding that in a lot of cases, we're talking about like 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds who, it's, again, our league is really hard to play in when you're 16. So having opportunities where you can come up, maybe play some, go down, play some, maybe play some midget AAA, depending on where you are in the country, whatever it's called, and have a year when you're 16 that, that looks like it's really built around your development and where you're at is something that we're seeing more and more of. And I think is indicative of how the vast majority of our teams are, thinking about how they're going to develop their players.
One of the things that really stuck with me the last time we spoke here on this program, we're talking about what this year is going to be like. And your answer, whenever I say I don't know, when someone asks me a question on podcast or video or television or wherever, I say like, look, this is going to be a bad talk radio answer, but my answer is I don't know. And you said that to me, but that had a lot of gravity to it because we don't know what this season is going to look like. And one of the things that we wondered about is right now the idea of jumping and going to NCAA perhaps earlier than you probably should, or your family thinks you should, or your agent thinks you should, or you think you should. We don't know what's going to happen when players say, you know what, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And we've already seen, Ryland Gould go back to the CHL. As you're looking at it now, like that's the thing that I wondered about. How many players are going to go and then come back, and will they be welcomed back with open arms? And all the commissioners have told me the answer is yes. Again, further to the whatever is right for that player's path is right for that player's path. And if you make a move that didn't work out for you, well, there's still a home back here for you in the CHL. Do you have any clearer picture of what the rest of this first season of this new relationship is going to look like? Because your I don't know may not have been a great talk radio answer, but it was the right one. But do we now start have an understanding where we're starting to know what this is going to be like? A long-winded question.
Well, at the risk of being, a bad talk radio guest, I'm probably going to double down a little bit and say, I think we still don't exactly know. Can you hear me?
I got you fine. Yeah, got you fine.
I think there's still some time left to be before I can answer that question. I mean, listen, the first semester at NCAA schools, has another 6 weeks probably to go. So we'll see. I think that the one thing I would say, and we've talked a lot about this at our table, like with myself and the commissioners and some other folks on the player development side, is just in hockey, there's this, and as you know, I don't come from a full background in hockey for my whole career. So there's such a rush to get to the next level. Right. And I wonder if eventually what's going to happen is, as players are trying to make their decisions, if eventually it becomes clear that, for the vast majority of players, and again, understanding, as you said, every situation is different, but, for a vast majority of your players, like max out your time in junior, max out your time. If you're good enough to go to the NHL, great. If not, max out your time in college, and then see what happens. Like there's not a rush. And I don't know if that's going to be what's going to happen, but I think you could throw out a player and say, hey, maybe the move to the NCAA was the right move, and others you look at and you go, oh, they're not playing very much, or they're struggling, and maybe they should stay. I think every player is different, but I don't think we haven't seen. It's too early to tell exactly what's going to happen. I think another couple months we'll know a little bit more, and then again, I think we're going to need to go through it probably for at least one or two more cycles to see, what the right. Well, if there's a general trend, but again, in the meantime, I think our job is to make sure that we're really, really focused on doing all we can to make sure that our players are in the best developments best environments to develop, and have the right facilities and people around them, and opportunities. And if we do that, then, we feel pretty comfortable about, our ability to compete with anybody.
One of the things when I talk to junior hockey operators lately, has been the idea of the 19-year-old to the American Hockey League and opening that door. Nothing is official yet, but teams keep saying we're preparing for it. Is there anything you can comment on there, or are there anything like is it a topic of discussion if it happens? Like, what do we do to the teams? Does every team get I'm getting ahead of myself, compensatory first round pick if they lose a player, etc.? Is there anything you can color in on that discussion? Because as you well know, that discussion is going around the CHL.
Yeah, so I mean, this is one that is it's a topic that is obviously of important, very strong importance to us and to the NHL and the NHLPA. So in our deal, so we have a deal with the NHL right now that ultimately means that if a player doesn't stick with their NHL club after a certain amount of time, that they get there's a mandatory return provision back to the CHL. And so the NHL has indicated to us that they have an interest in reopening our agreement around that issue with the support of the NHLPA. I don't think that's news. And so right now we're in a situation where I'd say we're more internally. We've spoken to the NHL. We did a presentation in September to their general managers just about our view on the matter and why we think it's a really important matter that we have to be careful and we got to take some caution on, and that we're going to do that. And so right now we're in the process of internally determining, if the NHL wants some more flexibility in that area, what that might look like. And we're continuing to dialogue with the NHL on what that could look like, and ultimately the PA will have to be involved at some area as well. Mm-hmm. But that'll be up to the NHL in terms of how that process works. But it's pretty early days. We have a bit of time, but we're just trying to figure out if there's a desire for more flexibility, what that could look like in such a way that it takes into account all stakeholders, including the CHL.
A couple minutes left with you. I got a couple more here. And thank you for your time. You're always generous. About a year ago, we all started talking about Newfoundland and the return of junior hockey to Newfoundland, and here we are. How has it been?
Listen, it's from what I understand, it's been great. I spoke to Mario and Glenn Stanford, their president, around the launch, and I think he had a whole bunch of games in a row at the beginning. Like, I think he had home games for the first 6 or 8 of his games. And it sounds like, from looking at the attendance numbers and that market, it sounds like it's been a home run. A home run on the days that the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, here we go.
But no, it sounds like it's been really, really well received. And that city is a great place for hockey. They've got a great arena. The fans are passionate. They've proven it through their support for other teams that have come through there. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that based on the discussions that I've had with the Q commissioner and with the folks on the ground in Newfoundland, that they've got the right model, they've got the right ownership, they've got the right arena and setup and operators, that they're going to be really successful. And they also had the good fortune, I think, of the way the draft went. They got a couple of hometown boys to start in their
that
first
always
draft,
helps.
which always helps. So
always helps.
So I think they're in. I think they're off to a great start. And again, we're really bullish on that market in terms of what it's going to be, long term for the Q and for the CHL.
We all know how much Newfoundland hockey fans love their teams and embrace them and hold them close. Last one for you, again, going back to the US CHL USA Prospects Challenge. This is in Calgary on the 25th, Lethbridge on the 26th. Last year, like I mentioned to you, I loved this event, these 2 games. Any tweaks, any changes this time, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
No, you know what? It's so the rules are going to be the same for the most part. This is a very specific thing that we're going to have to deal with a little bit, is because of the way the rules work between countries in terms of the age of the players. The U.S. team wore cages, and so we have to. If you remember last year, it got a little testy.
Yes,
in both markets, and there was a bit of grabbing of cages, so we have to deal with that. So we'll be talking to the refs about that. But other than that, no, it's going to be. It's going to be full go, and again, best on best, super high level of competition. The other interesting thing too, like, given what we've talked about in terms of the level of play in the CHL and being, and ultimately being the best, wanting to be the best development league in the world, we're seeing that reflected in the post NCAA rule change world, where the CHL we have 7 players of 22 that are going to be from non-Canadian. They're going to be U.S. or European. Right. And so you mentioned Hurlbut, I mentioned Bottinger, Shilov is another one. Like there's
ripping
big
up the
Euro,
queue.
ripping up the queue. On the Canadian side, between Ryan Lynn and Rubrek and Xavier, like it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be fun.
The talent level on the ice is going to be great. Are you going out? Are you coming out?
That is my plan. I loved it so much. I'm hoping my boss is watching right now, hearing me say, that is my plan, Dan MacKenzie, because I had such a great time, and I love that part of Alberta as well. You mentioned Kate. Let me just indulge me for 2 seconds. And my last question. You mentioned cages. I was just talking to Jay Rosehill about this at the NHL level. How about the CHL level? Can you ever envision a day where cages are mandatory in the CHL?
Listen, you could never say never on anything.
Right.
I don't know. I think that, again, our MO for a long time has been around, again, preparing players to play at the next level, and at the next level, they don't wear cages. And so, understanding that we do work with the best companies in the world in terms of safety for helmets and visors and those kinds of things. Neck guards are mandatory across our league. So, I don't know. It's an issue that we'll continue to monitor and see where things go and what the environment looks like. But I don't see a change in the short term.
Gotcha. Okay, listen, thanks for being very generous with your time. As I mentioned, you always are. You really indulge me. I appreciate it. Good luck on the 25th and 26th in Calgary and Lethbridge, and fans can get tickets at chl.ca/
Prospects Challenge.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care. Happy Halloween. Go Blue Jays.
Yes. The only team hoping this, by the way, the only team hoping that the Jays could play a best of 11 in the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Thanks to Dan MacKenzie, the president of the CHL, for stopping by. I know there was a lot in there and a lot to digest, so we thank Dan, as always, for his time here on the program. We kind of went extra heavy there, Zach. I know I'm being really selfish with everybody's time, but nonetheless.
Can I tell you one thing about cages and stuff quickly?
Sure.
That I know happened. So in Canadian University, there were visors, right?
Yeah.
There's one team that implemented mandatory cages or face protection. That's York University. And that was, I believe it started either this season or last year. And it was because of insurance through the school and how they were trying to make sure the players were safe and make sure that they could give them enough medical and everything like that to kind of support them. So that was one of the teams. I think it might be the first team in Canadian University that made the switch, and it's mandatory face protection.
My kid skates at York U 3 times a week. So next time I'm there, I'll go check out Lions practice. And trying to find some. Like, well, what's with the fuck that? You know what though? That does make sense. Like that's what I always want. Even at the NHL level, I wonder about like if you're an owner of an NHL team and you lose someone for a significant amount of time, and it could have been that injury could have been prevented by wearing a cage, which all these guys always do. That was always the argument for visors. Oh, you're wearing facial protection growing up. Why not throw on a visor? Well. What's with the half measure? Might not throw on the entire cages. Okay, I want to wrap things up here and let everyone and release everybody for their weekend, because I know they're waiting on every word of this program with bated breath. What stupid thing is Marek going to say next? The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop, no sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Games tonight, Zach? Or
3
fancy
games.
parlays by you. Tonight you're putting together some doozies lately. Some good ones.
Yeah, I thought about it, and then I was like, well, I've now 0 for 2, and I technically went 0 for 3 on the first one. I did get Nick Robertson. I told you I want to play for your team. Yeah. Maybe it's more hunger from his side of things than it is from Chinnikov. Maybe that's what he was trying to tell us.
I'm telling you, Chinnikov and Evason are cool now, man. They're all good. They're all, hey, come, Mike and I are having a barbecue. Why don't you come on over this weekend? Oh, I'd love to. Chinny, that sounds great. Sure.
I'm sure it's all sunshine and rainbows.
Everything's great. Yeah.
No, I don't have anything for tonight. I mean, look, reality is I'm going to have a significantly weighted eye on another TV. It's a rare time where like some other sport takes precedent for me. An opportunity for the Jays to win the World Series here in Toronto is going to be forefront. But in the background, Jeff, 3 games at which, by the way, 4 p.m. I believe is a start time here for Colorado Vegas. Was that
That's
correct? I saw
4 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 4 o'clock Eastern.
Why are they? Do you know why they're doing that? I didn't really look into it. I just saw it before. I'm like, because they're West Coast teams. It's not East Coast teams. They're playing at 4 Eastern.
If you can fill
this is a bunch of Jays fans on either team, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. There's just a bunch of Jays fans on either team, and they're like, you think we could move up that game?
That many Canadians on the Avalanche and the G Knights here. Maybe
there's something important going on here. I know we're paid to do this, but later today, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, sure, boys, we'll move it up to 4 o'clock Eastern and play on a Friday at 1 o'clock. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know. It's cool. You get this is where it spreads out, though. 4, 7, and 10. That's the scheduling that we need. That's where you just roll from one to the next. Again, thank you to the NHL schedule maker for catering to me and my needs, where I can go from the ultimate couch watching experience. Right. That's what I want, but regardless, I mean, there's
Matthew Barzal playing in this Islanders Washington game tonight. By the way, I sent a note to someone there. Let's see if I can get the answer by the time the show goes off the air. Matt Barzal playing tonight?
Did you see what Biz called the game yesterday, by the way? Excellent job by the panel.
That was
called
really
it
cool.
The sleep-in game.
Although, you know what? I'll tell you what. Who was it? It was Ken Campbell of the Hockey News who brought up the great point. It was great watching. It's Nevada Day. What's Nevada Day?
Oh, it's like a ceremonial day in Vegas for. 1 sec, I can get it for you.
This is really great programming here that you've come to expect.
I forgot about that. I've done this before where I previewed games on Nevada Day.
Yeah. Why is this so rude?
Yeah, this is the thing.
So it's Nevada Day. So Ken Campbell, I think it was Ken Campbell, brought up the point that as much as the panel
state
on TNT
holiday
look great, state holiday. So much of the panel looked great dressing as the Hanson brothers. They really missed a great opportunity to dress Henrik Lundqvist up as Denis Lemieux, the goaltender from Slapshot. How did you not have like two Hansons and Denis Lemieux?
Yes.
Great.
Or like you could have brought in Colby or Jans to complete the panel and be the third member of the Hanson brothers, and then
just be a mannequin, stand there. You don't even have to hold the microphone. You don't need to get in. Well, you need to get the makeup to do your Hanson brothers thing, but you don't have to get your feathers done. Nothing, and just let Hank be Denis Lemieux. Golden opportunity missed.
And Coop asking Ace the important questions.
But we talked about that on the show. Hang on, who mentioned that to us on this show was last year when I was in Washington for the Carolina series. Joe Beninati said when Anson Carter was there, they called him AC, and that turned into Ace. Mm-hmm. So it was Beninati that did a journalism. It was Beninati who did a journalism on that one. Good job, Joe, for doing journalism.
Can I play one clip for you before we wrap here today? It's been spooky themed today and things that haunt you.
Yeah, go for it.
Last night, there was a very telling moment of what the St. Louis Blues season has been with the Braden Shen penalty shot, or not penalty shot, shootout. There's something in this clip I need you to see because it's haunting, and it's not as haunting for Braden Shen. You'll see who it is when I play this clip. Braden Shen in the shootout, lost the puck into the corner. Camera zooms in on Braden Shen. Oh no, what just happened? Oh no, Monty. That is the haunting face right there, Jeff. Monty looking at that going, that is what our season has been.
You know what?
You want to talk about the Mike Myers music and haunting? It's Monty tonight. Last night.
You know what's good about Coach? I shouldn't say it's not good because you want to catch the candid moments. Coaches now, more so than ever, understand when the camera can be on them. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago, any other coach is just swearing and spitting. Seeing that. What does Montgomery do? Dog face.
Yeah, I know. But you could tell in his eyes. He, look, I'm not making fun of him. It's credit to him for holding that face. The camera goes to him, and you could see from here down, and I'm pointing from below my eyes to his chin, it was nothing.
Rage.
You could tell in his eyes. Shenner, I'm going to kill you.
Season. Right there.
I'm begging to get out of this right now, and you're putting the puck in the corner. Haunting for Jim Montgomery.
Dumps the puck in on a breakaway?
I know we practiced that. This is not the time.
This is not where we practice dumpings.
Yeah.
This is not where we do retrievals. All right, we got to hustle. We've almost done 2 shows here. Does it mean we got Monday off? No, it doesn't. Thanks for hanging in there, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're listening on podcast. We really appreciate it. I want to thank all of our guests today. A couple of moments ago, you heard from Dan MacKenzie, the president of the CHL. We'll remind you the CHL USA Prospects Challenge in Alberta on the 25th in Calgary, 26th in Lethbridge. There's a very cool event. I went last year when it was in London and Oshawa. It's a lot of fun, and the hockey is excellent. You will probably see half of the first round the NHL draft in this game. So if you're in the area, do yourself the favor and go check this one out. Thanks to Jay Rosehill from stopping by from Leafs Morning Take. Thanks to the York chap, Jason York, from Coming in Hot, and Calgary Flames broadcasts as well, for kicking off the program today. On behalf of Zack Phillips and everybody here at the Nation Network and Daily Faceoff, thanks for tuning in. More programming available all throughout the days. And don't forget to check out our website at dailyfaceoff.com for all the latest breaking news, commentary, and opinion around the world of hockey. Thanks for joining me again today. Thanks for the buns and the use of the hall. We're back on Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern, for The Sheet. Jeff Marek along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zack Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.